Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Awesome. Well, today we're going to be stepping back in time. We're going to be using this incredible interview recording from Ilana Rosenberg.
Wow.
Yeah, to really experience history firsthand.
I love that.
Yeah. So Ilana, she escaped Europe as a child, landed in a newly formed Israel. And just imagine witnessing all the cultural shifts and those, like, I don't know, almost growing pains of a brand new nation,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking upheaval, adaptation, maybe even, I don't know, a few unexpected dance moves along the way.
Oh, I love it already.
It's a great story.
Yeah.
It really is. And it's fascinating to me how matter-of-factly she talks about her childhood.
Really?
Yeah, like she was constantly moving across. You can almost feel her, like trying to make sense of this new world,
Yeah. Well, especially as a child.
Especially as a child.
Mm-hmm.
And she talks about living out of suitcases, never really having like a true sense of home.
Oh, wow.
And just think about this. She's never able to form these lasting friendships because they're moving so much.
It's hard to put down roots.
So hard to put down roots. And it's just remarkable to me how she just kind of rolls with it. Like it's just, okay, new country, new rules, let's go.
Let's figure it out.
Yeah. Exactly. But then there's this one detail she mentions, and it really stood out to me. She talks about how her sister almost immigrated to Israel, but then turned back.
Oh, wow.
And it just makes you realize how uncertain and unpredictable everything was back then.
Yeah. Those kinds of decisions were huge, life-altering.
Absolutely life-altering.
Yeah, and probably made with not a whole lot of information.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like you don't know what you're getting into necessarily.
The leap of faith.
A leap of faith, totally. Okay, so now picture this, right? Ilana and her family, they're finally on their way to Israel. They're on this train. They have this chance encounter
Okay.
with another family, the Bearers. And this meeting, completely by chance, ends up shaping Ilana's entire life.
Oh.
Isn't that wild?
Talk about interconnectedness.
Interconnectedness, right. And it turns out Ilana's father had actually done this huge favor for the Bearers earlier on. And because of that, they felt obligated to look after Ilana and her family when they arrived in Israel.
Wow.
So who knew a simple act of kindness could have such a huge ripple effect?
Amazing.
Right. It's like fate.
Wow.
And speaking of fate, their arrival in Israel, it's not exactly smooth sailing.
Uh-oh.
So Ilana, she describes this very vividly. She talks about the Sher Haliyah, which is the immigration camp.
Okay.
And she talks about this vast hall, the initial shock of being there. And then, get this, she runs into Yemenite musicians.
Wow, what a mix of cultures.
It's like this incredible cultural clash, right?
Right.
Imagine coming from Europe and then being in this new environment with all this newness.
It must have been so overwhelming.
It must have been completely overwhelming. It's important to remember, though, that the Sher Haliyah, it wasn't just a camp. It was like this symbolic gateway for so many immigrants arriving in Israel. It was their very first taste of this new land.
Oh, that's really interesting. And then to encounter all those diverse cultural expressions right away, like those Yemenite musicians.
It's like sensory overload, right?
Yeah. Fascinating, but also probably disorienting.
Absolutely. Disorienting is a great word for it. So new country, new culture.
And new school, too.
Oh, yeah. And this is where Baruch comes in. He's the son from the Brewer family.
Right.
And he becomes this incredible lifeline for Ilana. He patiently tutors her in math.
It's amazing how these mentors can just appear at the right time.
It really is, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you can tell that his mentorship had a huge impact on her as she navigates this whole new educational landscape.
Yeah, those support systems are crucial, right? Especially for immigrants, it's not just about the help.
No.
It's about having someone who really understands those challenges.
Yes, and someone to guide you, someone to encourage you. But imagine you're plunked into a new school. You don't know anyone. You don't really know the language.
That must have been terrifying.
I know. But Ilana, being Ilana, she totally crushes it. First day, she solves this math problem. Nobody else can solve it. Instant rock star.
Talk about making a first impression.
Right. But it's not just about her intelligence.
Yeah.
It's about her resilience. It's about her quick thinking. And by showcasing her skills, she doesn't just gain acceptance. She's demonstrating that she's willing to contribute to this new community.
That's a powerful message.
It really is. It's like resourcefulness.
Opens doors.
Totally. Opens doors.
And it doesn't stop there.
No.
She picks up Hebrew and Yiddish.
Like it's nothing. Right. It's amazing. She's got this insatiable appetite for learning, for connecting with people.
You know, it makes you wonder if all that moving around as a kid instilled this adaptability in her.
I think so.
Yeah.
It's like she's hardwired to embrace change,
To thrive wherever she lands.
Exactly. But that doesn't mean things were easy.
Right.
The family makes a big move to Ramat Yitzchak.
Okay.
And to help make ends meet, Ilana has to start working.
At a young age, too.
At a young age.
Wow.
And this move, it just showcases the family's incredible bond,
Yeah.
and their willingness to sacrifice for each other.
Well, they had to.
They had to, right? I mean, to help finance this new home.
Mm-hmm.
Ilana's brother sends a radio phonograph all the way from Paris to be sold.
Wow.
And it just shows you that even though they were scattered all over the place, that family connection never faded.
Right. They were still looking out for each other.
Absolutely. But you can imagine how tough it must have been, right?
Oh, yeah.
For a young girl to be juggling work and school.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. But Ilana, being Ilana, she doesn't just work. She thrives.
Of course she does.
So she starts tutoring younger children.
Really?
Yeah, which shows this amazing work ethic.
Yeah.
Her passion for sharing knowledge.
Well, and it also speaks to this larger theme of community building,
Yes.
that was so important in those early years of Israel.
Absolutely.
People really relied on each other.
They did. It was all about,
supporting each other's growth.
helping each other out.
Yeah, and success. And it wasn't just about individual survival. It was about collective upliftment.
I love that. Collective upliftment. Speaking of community, let's talk about how Ilana met Yehuda, her future husband.
Oh, okay.
So back then, social life revolved around dancing.
Fun.
And at one of these gatherings, they were short a male partner.
Oh, no.
So the Bear family, always looking out for Ilana,
Yeah.
they bring along Yehuda.
Wow, what a setup.
Talk about a fateful introduction.
Seriously, it's amazing how these chance encounters can lead to such profound connections.
It really is. It's like a real-life fairy tale, right?
Yeah, totally.
They meet, they dance, sparks fly. But we have to remember, this is also a time when joining the army was a huge part of young people's lives,
Of course.
especially those connected to, socialist ideals.
Right. So Ilana is thinking about joining up, but then Yehuda, being a bit older, kind of drops a bombshell.
Oh.
He wants to get married, but only if Ilana puts the army on hold.
Wow, what a decision.
Talk about a dilemma. And Ilana's response is amazing.
What did she say?
She says, okay, I'll marry you,
Okay.
but only if my mother can live with us.
Wow, what a condition.
Talk about unwavering loyalty and love for her family.
It's incredible, really.
It really is. It speaks volumes about Ilana's character.
Yeah.
It shows her devotion to her mother, who had remained single after her husband's passing,
Right?
and this commitment to keeping her family unit intact.
That's beautiful. It is beautiful. And the best part is,
What?
Yehuda accepts her condition without hesitation.
Oh.
It shows how much he respects her
Oh.
and understands the importance of those family bonds.
Totally. But
Two families brought together by this incredible act of kindness years ago, now living side by side in Herzliya. It's like a movie.
it's meant to be.
It's meant to be, yeah. Listening to Ilana's story, it really strikes me how much she accomplishes despite all the obstacles. It's just inspiring.
I agree. What I find so remarkable is that she never loses sight of what's important. Family, learning, contributing to her community.
Exactly. Those values are like woven into every chapter of her life. And she's not afraid to step outside her comfort zone. There's this great anecdote about her becoming a lab technician. She had no formal training.
Wow.
She just dives right in, learns on the job.
That's Ilana for you. Resourceful, determined, and always ready to learn something new.
Absolutely. And, it also speaks to the power of mentorship and the influence Baruch had on her life, encouraging her to explore science.
Absolutely.
But Ilana's story really reminds us that history isn't just about, dates and battles. It's about the everyday lives of people, like Ilana, making tough choices, adapting to new situations, and ultimately shaping their own destinies.
Exactly. And those individual stories all woven together is what creates this rich tapestry of our past.
That's beautiful.
And Lana's interview really gives us a glimpse into what life was like for immigrants arriving in a newly formed nation, navigating those cultural differences, building new communities, and just creating a future for themselves and their families.
And as we wrap up this deep dive into Ilana Rosenberg's extraordinary life, we're left with this final thought-provoking question. What stands out to you most about her journey? Is it her resilience, her commitment to family, her passion for learning? Whatever it is, we hope her story encourages you to think about the connections you've made in your own life and the impact, big or small, that you've had on others. Because ultimately, we all have stories to tell. And those stories, like Ilana's, have the power to teach us valuable lessons about ourselves and the world around us.